We're live.
We're live. Hello, everybody. It's Gina Kroshak and Tamara Schrock. She's just locking the door, so go ahead. Yeah, we uh, we had some customers in uh, just a little right around 4 o'clock, and so it was important to be able to help them find what they needed. And so Tamara and I have been having an ongoing discussion this past week. And it's really one that has about this whole idea of hope. But part of it is that we have been finding that so many people are allowing the environment of our time, the issues with the pandemic coming again, and with the downturn in which then impacts people's jobs and whether they can go about having their lives as normal. And so you've got this whole mushrooming of events that have happened in 2020 and that have challenged all of us as though you would ever be short. Thank you. But it's just been amazing. And part of the conversation began with Tamra telling me about putting together a group of stones for a friend's son who had a friend who committed suicide. Yes.
Their nephew.
Well, their nephew. So a family member who had committed suicide. And of course, they were young, they were teenager. And I've had several people in the past year who have had young people who commit suicide. And we know that the number of suicides and among American veterans, well, veterans all over the world, to be honest, but we're most familiar with those in our home country. And so that, and suicide comes when people have no hope and they can see no way through the darkness and the tunnel of darkness that has been created by the circumstances. And so, one of the things that we wanted to talk today was about hope and peace. And we have a few stones that we think sort of address some of that. There are more, but I think all of you could find your own as well. But several of them, Tamara had put together a few of them to send off to her friend and his family. And then, so we are going to talk about those, and we want you to join us. I think right now, one of the things that is so important is for those of us who are working with stones and working in the light, be available to assist others so that they have a better understanding of just to know that they're loved and that they're supported and that there's joy left in the world and we can find things to um, to appreciate in each other and community. One of the things, hi Sandy, we're glad you're here. Thank you. And so so we are wanting to just sort of look at some of the issues that we're coming to terms with and what role we have as members of the community. One of the things that I thought was very fascinating today was on my way into the shop. I listened to a fellow who had written a book, and one of the topics was about how humans, one of our evolutions has been to become optimistic and to become as an understanding that by joining together, we can work together to make things better. And so we are very grateful to understand that. And that is part of what we are going to be working on today. And Tamara has had some just amazing insights in some of her recent work. And so one of the things that we'll talk about today, which I thought was really fun, is that because some of the stones were on the show last night, and I looked at them and I decided that they needed to be here as well. So we're going to just start. Did you want to say anything?
Yet.
She says she did a lot of talking last night.
I did. Yeah, so
Roseanne, hi, she found us. Yes.
yes. I do appreciate you guys commenting. Where we had to use a different computer last minute to get some stuff. The other one was just not working, and we weren't sure if it was the video or the sound card in this one that we had difficulties with. So
So just let us know if you're having trouble hearing us. I think both of us know how to project our voice. And well, I mean, you do outdoor gatherings, right?
I know how to.
So anyway, so we are just going to start with some of the silliest looking stones I've ever seen. They're just absolutely adorable. They were something we brought back from Tucson this past year, and it's called tubular agate. And one of the reasons, and Tamara's going to show you some of, one of the reasons I love them is they made these incredible stones, and it's bamboo tubular agate. And these are just amazing. So what it is bamboo died, it fossilized, and as it fossilized, agate decided it would grow and merge with, you want to talk about community, that it would merge with the bamboo itself. And these are, there are times when you can look at them and you can see animals in them and you can see other things. And our friend Cindy, after she had written about them, made sure that we each got a piece because it was, I mean, look at that one. It is just so adorable.
Well, there's so much teaching that goes with the energy of
Yes.
bamboo as well. And to be like the bamboo, to know when to kind of bend and sway without breaking, and to be that hollow tube, that hollow vessel for the energy to flow through, and how strong the bamboo is, and how quick it is to regenerate, and how life-giving it is.
Yeah.
You can have bamboo fields, and by the way, trying to get rid of bamboo is really difficult. So one of the things she mentions is that it is the persevering warrior. So
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things about it is that if you'll look around, you'll see that bamboo, they now have bamboo sheets. They have bamboo uh, cutting boards, all kinds of bamboo. Do you want to let them know? Okay. And so I'm just going to read the card real quick. It's a perfect balance of power and tenderness, a persevering warrior, a master of flexibility, adaptability. It intensifies our connection to guides, angels, and beings of light. It quickens our ability to manifest thoughts and desires, enhances creativity, memory, and focus, relieves stress, and establishes calm and quiet. And those are all things we need. I think one of the things for hope is when we allow ourselves to be creative. It is just so incredible when we stop just, I think right now it's easy for people to stew in their own juices for what is going on. And oh my goodness, do we have to go through this again? And the answer is, if we do, then that just gives us another opportunity to find some way to be creative at this point in time.
so that's bringing in the quality of resilience. I think is what you're really like wanting to talk about or bring in. That's
Yeah.
what that feels like. The
Yeah.
resilience of being like, I've been through this before. I know what to do. I know how to move forward. And maybe if it didn't work out so great last time, what other ways can I try? What other creative means can I implement? What different choices or steps can I take to ensure that future towards that movement that what we want to see?
And to embrace what's going on rather than hi all of you.
Sorry again, new computer that we're using on here, and we just now.
Camera. Okay.
Oh, can't hear me.
Yeah, so you got to speak up.
Okay. All right.
So we've got Paige, hey, and we've got Sherry, hey. So, I think one of the things is that a lot of people feel like they've exhausted what they could be creative about or do, and so it's now time to once again to toss things up and see what can we do, you know?
Yeah, and so when you were talking about the collection of crystals that I assembled for the young gentleman, not only was it hard stuff, which obviously would made sense for me, just making sure everyone can hear. Hi, Paige. It made sense that the stones for heart healing and processing grief. But what was surprising is the number of stones that showed up that were about speaking, throat chakra work. And then I'm like, so I sat with that a little bit more. What is that all about? And I think part of that is to encourage us to speak up and to allow ourselves to feel heard, and to feel understood. And as we share that which what we are feeling, we will find that community and that connection. A lot of times when I'm talking about my dreams moving forward, I find so many other people that have similar dreams. And it's a matter of, okay, so I don't feel so alone anymore. But when I'm isolating myself and I feel, disconnected, like I don't fit in and people don't understand me, well, then that's like just right there on that top of that depressive cycle that can really go down into that hopelessness. So being able to speak your truth, use your voice to speak up for that which you need to express, and then just trusting that there are going to be people there, as you feel more comfortable and confident with that will support you in your truth and meet you there.
Yeah, and I think speaking our truth right now, a lot of us have felt like because of the antagonism that we've generated among ourselves, we felt like our voices were shut down. And I think that there's nothing more important than for us to, with love in our heart, to speak our truth. I know one of the things that I admire about our daughter, Heather Keel, is she has this incredible ability of speaking a truth when she's working with employees or with her friends or with her family, of just saying things in a way that isn't judgmental. I think that it makes it so much easier if we can communicate when we're speaking our truth without judgment. We're just saying what our truth is, but it's always coming from the heart and with love when we're offering it to others, And so that was very important. And so I think that one of the really wonderful blue stones on blue working with our throat chakra is blue opal. And it is a stone that I have been in love with ever since it came into the shop. It just, it's one of those stones that makes my heart sing. And because it is so beautiful. And it comes out, this is called Andean blue opal, but it is just so incredibly beautiful and soothing and comforting. And there are times when it reminds me of the sky.
Yeah, I was going to say, are you going to go there? Because you're talking about the blue skies.
Yeah, the blue sky and the sunshine. And part of what having hope is finding the sunshine. And right?
Yeah. I was looking for it earlier because it was behind the clouds, and I'm like, I know you're out there.
Yeah, no
kidding.
There is a little bit of sunshine
coming out.
I think, and we're coming into the time where it's going to be really hard to remember that there's a sun up up there. So that's one reason why we love full moons. It's right because we've got light even in the darkness, and with daylight savings time shifting. Isn't that just so pretty? Oh, look, it's so cute. It is cute. It looks like it's got wings or a mustache, depending on which way you hold it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, an interesting thing about opal that I have felt and seen is that opal is a stone that once it's gifted really activates. So we can get opals for ourselves. Yes, we can. You can gift them to yourself. However, if you ever notice, if there's ever a stone that you want to gift somebody, opal just all of a sudden just like really goes crazy. Like it just like it starts really radiating and coming out when it's gifted. So opal is a stone that loves to be gifted.
So it's and right now that's probably one of the best. And the other thing about this stone that I love so much is it really um
Hi, Ruth Ann.
is Ruth Ann going?
Yep.
Okay. So one of the things is we're talking about peace, wanting to talk about peace. And I think with peace comes comfort. And I think this stone sort of embodies all of those characteristics with the peace and the hope and the just smoothness, soothing, very soothing energy. Let's see what it says back here. It brings joy, communication, creativity, helps you believe in your own abilities. I think when we start getting in the depressive state, we forget what great abilities we have. And that's one of the things that we always have to do is go to gratitude, but we also have to look at ourselves and see what it is we like about ourselves. I remember, yeah, and to speak your mind without fear, and it protects you during journeying and helps ease fatigue. Man, that's a wonder stone. So, yeah, blue opal. So, okay. So then I just loved the show last night. Well, I thought that you brought out some really good things, and you were talking about the karmic releasing and the ancestors and working with our ancestors. I think that um, a lot of us, when we have too much time, we ruminate on the past, or we get stuck in the past, and we forget to we forget to remember all the joyous moments and the good, really great times we've had. And so it becomes really important to remember the really good times.
Right. So one way that I was thinking about it
Mhm.
when I was okay, so honoring the ancestors, honoring those that have went before us, that through their trials, their tribulations, and their victories, we can then instead of getting stuck there, we give thanks. We acknowledge the fact that there was a lot of suffering, and then we can give thanks for the victories of where we are today, and look at how far we've come. Like what in the last 100 years, voting rights have changed, more civil rights have changed. There's a lot going on in our society that is we still have a ways to go. Okay, I get that.
We
have a ways to
always
go.
have a ways to go.
However, we can celebrate how far we've went
Mhm.
instead of getting lost in that suffering. When we're calling on the ancestors for gratitude or giving them gratitude and things for all they've done and all that they've brought forward, if there's something that is there that just didn't work, instead of repeating that, we can give thanks that we see now the results of that and we can choose different. So that's when it gets into some of that karmic releasing. So we can release family lineages of abuse or suffering or illness or disease. We can release a lot of that, repeating the cycle over and over again, which so many people, so many beautiful, amazing humans are here that are cycle breakers. And I know that you would know who you are. Going into families that are difficult, soupy messes of stuff, and you just feel different. Like, even if you are experiencing a lot of that stuff, you are choosing different. And even taking those little tiny steps over and over again, you're changing the trajectory for future generations coming forward. So the healing that we're doing now, the healing I believe that I'm doing for myself will help ensure that my children have an opportunity for different outcomes than the ones that preceded me, the ones that I've experienced, and that they can have something different in their future.
Mhm.
So,
And I think that that's really important. One of the things that I was thinking and reflecting on this, I had a a family member, extended family member, who just could forget nothing that was harmful or painful. And so would periodically, even if it's that whole business of forgiving and forgetting, but the forgetting doesn't get done. And so you sometimes wonder, is it even possible? And so, because if we're continually recycling those painful memories, then we are bringing the energy back. And so it becomes essential to release that energy that has caused us so much pain. And again, it was that whole business of it's not that what the person did is okay, but there's no reason to carry the pain with us and keep it on replay.
right.
Right?
Well, something that can be helpful is recognizing that we're doing the best we can with what we have
Mhm.
available to us, and repeating patterns. A lot of these times, it's the trauma cycle, the fact that we just keep repeating and repeating that which we know. So if all we've ever seen is this particular response or this way of being, it wouldn't surprise me that that's the way that you would continue with it because you don't know anything different. So holding people to that way of being, and just continuing to be angry or upset at them doesn't give them an opportunity to really see any other way of being. So now you're just putting more shame and more hurt, more guilt, and it can bury them instead of. I would like to see more opportunities for trauma informed care in which we give them opportunities, show them different, modeling different behaviors for them, and then giving them the space to try something else. So that would be one way of cycle breaking.
Yes.
And forgiving, like just recognizing that literally they are just repeating that which they know, just like children, they're sponges and they absorb all of these things, and then they go out in the world and they try them, they practice them, they put them into work, and then they make their own conclusions and decisions. And say some of those decisions or those choices ended up causing them a lot of hurt and pain, but it was still what they experienced, growing up. Now they have their own experience with it. Should they live for the rest of their life with that shame and that guilt of the thing that they did? Or should they be given an opportunity to recognize that, heal that, and say, oh, I didn't like how that felt. I don't know how they could have done that, but I know that's not something that feels right with me. What else can I choose? And then that's when we can show them different ways of being,
Yes.
different modeling, different relationship styles, or learning boundaries, different stuff like that.
Yeah, boundaries are important. So one of the stones that Tamara showed last night
Sandy,
is this
ancestralite. So that's
yeah.
part of that cycle breakers. If you are a cycle breaker,
Or want to be a cycle breaker, maybe you hadn't like even thought about being a cycle breaker, but we can stop. We don't have to,
right?
we don't have to continue the patterns. We can allow love to come in. And I think many of us were, from my perspective, a lot of the people who are with us today, a lot of the people who walk in the store are are guided by the divine to come in here, to be perfectly honest, in terms of working with the stones to help bring in the love and the self understanding, the self-worth, and and having our ancestors work with us to understand. I mean, resilience is one of the things. I remember when I moved to this part of the country, my sister asked me, now no, I grew up in the South and in a city, a small town in a city. And so when when we moved to Wisconsin, my sister asked me about what it was like living in the frontier territories. So, but think about it. Think about the ancestors, particularly of all of you who are here in Iowa and other Midwestern areas. But all of this country, all of the world actually has been sort of a pioneering or a frontier area where we're willing to try and to survive and to be resilient and to always find hope within the where we are. And that was one of the things that I just absolutely uh, reveled and admired about my mother is that she'd always find a way of finding hope because it was never going and she had a lot of weird things happen, and so she could have become a very bitter person, but instead she always could see the sunny side of life,
the silver lining.
The silver lining in that gray cloud. We all have to be able to see the silver lining.
And Sandy pointed out the glitter. Looks like glitter was dropped on these ancestors. One thing that Paul mentioned when we were working with these is it just reminds him of like the star systems, the galaxies.
Which many of us have been in all of multiple star systems. It's always fun when we talk about that.
And sometimes we might have to pull on that. We have to pull on some of those. We have all kinds of different ancestors.
We do.
Land ancestors that are part of the land in which we are living, in which we live and we're born in, our lineage, our like bloodline, the ones that we grew up with, and then we also have
the ones that we discover.
I'd say like kind of I want to say like kind of soul family.
Yeah.
I would say that would
We
be
have
part
plenty.
of that.
Yes.
Our groups, our soul families, and a lot of those would be, all the way back to you'd have to go up into the stars to find them. So
Yeah,
well,
so
they're here now, but
one of the things that was really just so fun today is Tamara was talking about sitting and doing some reflection this morning. And when she came to understand about she was part of her ancestors or her ancestors were part of her, but she's also part of her predecessors. I think it's predecessors, right? The ones who will come after.
yeah, I will be doing. I'm gonna be brave and bold and do a Facebook Live specifically for this on Saturday, so on October 31st on Halloween, full moon, and so we'll get into a little bit more of that then. But yes, we are ancestors.
Yeah,
definitely.
So there is one of the most fascinating books or series of books by a man named Hank Wesselman. And it starts with the Spirit Walker series. And he was an anthropologist. This is maybe fictional. So he's an anthropologist. He was, and this is true, he was one of the people who discovered the remains of Lucy, one of the oldest female remains that anthropologists have found in the world, and they found it in Africa. And he was a biological anthropologist. And so anyway, but this book, he woke up one morning, or he was in this state, and he was having conversations with someone that was in the future 5,000 years in terms of how the land had changed. Everything was radically different. But it is just a fascinating study of this whole interplay between ancestors and the people who come after us once where we are the ancestors to the people who are
Yeah.
born in the future.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about. So it was just a little glimpse into what I'll be doing on Saturday, with more intention on Saturday. But that's what I was kind of shown is when I was reaching back to my ancestors to ask, what was it like then, and what, and giving thanks for the steps that they took then that helped me to be more free of a being now, so that I can, you know, like live my life with pride. I wouldn't say
Yes.
prideful, but you know what I mean. To have a lot more freedoms in my ability to wear what I want to wear, to speak my truth, or the different things. So I just wanted to give them thanks for all the things that they did to help me to be able to be here now. And then I felt this energy of like my future self and asking what is that, or not my future self, but like down the line, down the generations, what does that look like for you? And I was asking questions like, what is that energy? What is it like? Are we living in peace? Are we living in harmony? Do we recognize our interconnectedness? And I was asking all these questions, and I was just feeling so much. I had goosebumps again, just so much love, that for whatever reason it feels like it's there. And I'm like, what can I do now to ensure that future is there for future version of me, that future, and then I recognize I was then the ancestor that was doing it. And then I felt a lot of gratitude from that. The down the line, my lineage, giving thanks for the choices that I made here and now, in this lifetime, in this space, so that they could have that harmonious future.
Yeah.
And then so that helps me to work through that, the feelings of despair and hopelessness, because I know in some way, in some level, that there is that beautiful, bright future that we're heading towards. And
Yes.
really 2020 being a crux for the entire planet to shift, and to begin taking those steps and with more, what I want to say, like fervence, like what's that word that I'm like, with more authority. And this is what we need to do.
Yeah. Champion.
Champion. Yeah.
We're going to champion the future. And I think that that's very important. So the ancestral light is going to help you with that. But then there's a couple of other stones that we want to talk about, particularly lepidolite, which I mean, it just will always be one of my favorites.
Also another reflective stone.
Another reflective stone because it's got mica in it, and mica is a mirror stone for us to sit. And this series is, I mean, it's all layers. I mean, what, how many people or how many times have you said to yourself or to others, well, I'm really sure I dealt with that. I, I know that I dealt with that. So my sister, one day we were driving along and I had given her a blue kyanite necklace because it's really good for healing the wounds in the heart. And I started talking about what in my world was an injustice, uh, for the way in which an institution had dealt with my husband's illness. And so I started talking, and all of a sudden this anger welled up. You could hear it in my voice, and the anger and the hurt. And she looked at me and she says, Gina, you need to get your blue kyanite necklace out and you need to wear that. And so, and she couldn't have been more on point. Couldn't have been more on point.
So we should talk about the ruby with kyanite since you're talking
Yes.
about that.
Yes.
So this one is ruby and kyanite.
And it is working with life force, courage, passion, intuition, psychic ability, inspiration, visionary awareness, supporting the brain and the nervous system and all of the sexual organs, bowels, intestines. I mean, it covers a whole bunch of stuff. But the ruby, and so the nice thing about ruby kyanite that's just astounding is you've got all of that energy that's working with the root, with the sacral, but then you also are working with the throat. with the kyanite. And so you're bringing those incredible qualities together.
You also get the bonus of being able to cut cords and ties to the things that are holding you down, releasing shackles, and also bringing in a lot of heart healing, like kind of think of like that whole Ruby record keeper too as a way of keeping track of your progress and where you've been and where you're going. So sorry we didn't get to read out your comments and on the air there, Sandy, but thank you for adding your notes, your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it was interesting. She said when I talked about my mom that it reminded of her. Well, my mom too, raised 4 daughters by herself, at least for the first, at least half of it. Well, from the time I was about 18 months until I was 10 or so, when my mother remarried. We had just an amazing stepfather. But there was a lot of fortitude and just, yes, I know, the Ruby is astounding. It just said it had to be here. It had to be part of the story. And I think it's because of passion and because it is one of the harder, it's a corundum ruby, and it is, if you're going to carve it in any way, you're going to have to use a diamond grinder to work with it. And it is not an easily cut stone. So. Okay, so let's see where we want to go to next. I think we probably want to go to, we're talking about forgiveness. So I think we should go to the Mangano calcite. And Mangano calcite is one of those incredible stones that it's pink, but very not a bright pink. It's a much more subtle pink, and it has white running through it. And it is a stone of incredible forgiveness, and it also helps us to release deep grief. And I think right now, all of us are going through an incredible grieving for there's so many things to grieve right now. It's not just the lives being lost, it's ways of living that have been lost. I mean, you're talking about in terms of trauma worldwide, how many people have lost their lives just to COVID-19, much less the number of people who have, in all of the economies around the world, have lost positions of livelihood that will never come back. Things have changed a lot, and so a lot of
and acknowledging the lives that have been lost to injustice,
and acknowledge absolutely
disregard for human life.
Yeah, and
merely because they could not see that we are the same. We're all humans.
Yeah, and so that is a whole level of work that I'm grateful. And we were as another thing that was interesting is that with the Black Lives Matter movement, talking about last night they were interviewing a professor on the news, and he was talking about what the difference is between the 60s and now. And I think that it is dramatically different, because I lived through all that, and now then living with this, but there's so many more people of all colors who are on the front lines, joining in and saying, it's like, it's enough. I look like that person. I look like that person. I look like that person. And it just so happens I don't tan very well or whatever. It's like the genes, they found that genetically we're like 99+% alike, regardless of what race or culture we're from. And so it becomes so there are a lot of, so that's another thing when people say, well, we're going to go back just the way it was. And it's like, no, I think that that's, from my perspective, that is a hope that I have, is seeing us going forward to look at what justice is and how justice can be seen um, for all of us. I mean, it is just astounding.
I would love to honor and celebrate our uniqueness and our journey, and be able to hold people with equal
Yes.
rights, regardless of skin pigmentation or where they were born or what family they were born into. So,
Absolutely. Well, one of the things I mean, like when we were growing up as kids, we were treated terribly. My mother particularly was treated terribly. It was the early 50s. And because she was a divorcee. I mean, she was obviously never to be trusted. And there are just all of these stereotypes we have around certain, certain categories. And it's like, so it's time to sort of
level the playing field.
yeah, and wipe the slate
Yes.
clean and start all over again.
But by honoring the difficulties and the struggles and the journeys that have, went before us, where we have, the path in which we all are going to get there together. I guess we're in this together, so why not recognize what strengths we bring to the table and honor those stories and know that we can show up different for each other and bring in that unconditional love and acceptance for our stories.
It is very, very important.
But we
Very
do need
important.
to recognize that we are together as one human race, and we are among many beings sharing this planet.
Yeah.
So,
And that's one of the lessons that the stones have to teach us, is to teach us the ability to understand the strength within community and within unity. For as Labradorite said, the first message it gave me was, they're my brothers and my sisters. And so we're all brothers and sisters, and it just becomes so important. And I think when we have that kind of acknowledgement, then we can come to a certain kind of internal peace that we want. At least, yeah,
on some level, yeah.
yeah.
I think we just have to recognize how we constructed our reality and how we try to fit everything into boxes and with expectations. And I think that really dismisses the uniqueness of what the individuals bring to the collective.
Mhm.
So I think that we can get to that place in recognizing that if we each follow our passion and show up in our best version, with all of our gifts and our skills, like ready to be a part of this growing community, that we actually would have like a smorgasbord of awesomeness to work with. So,
That is very,
and how
very
boring would it be if we went to like a buffet and everything was mashed potatoes? I'm sorry, gross.
Yeah.
Not gonna happen.
Yeah, yeah. So it's sort of a fascinating time that we're being given these opportunities to help go forward in a very positive, hopeful way,
Helpful
but
way.
and
Yeah.
very peaceful,
Yeah.
a peaceful way. And I think a lot of when we talk about peace, we're talking in many ways about an inner peace, because with our own inner peace, we're able to be comfortable in our own skin and comfortable with others being in their own skin and in their own lives, rather than us saying there's something wrong with them. So it becomes important for us to recognize that the non-judgment is probably one of our biggest deals right
Yeah. And I think that part of that is really going to be in educating and active listening. So, I mean, one of the things that I'm always worried about when talking about things is, what if in my naivete I accidentally have some kind of microaggression on some topic that I was completely unaware of and afraid that people are going to get angry at me or be upset by something that I've said or done,
And I would ask that I just be educated and informed, because how do we know how to do something if we've never been taught or shown, or that wasn't in our reality or awareness before? How amazing it is to be on the other end and be like, hey, this is a thing that I would really like to enlighten you or share with you my perspective or awareness on how I've traveled through this particular thing, and give them space to make their own decisions instead of forcing, like, you have to do this now. It's just like share and allow them to grow in their own time.
And allow ourselves to grow in our own time.
Right.
So let's talk about opalite. And people,
you picked hearts.
of course I picked hearts.
A
Um,
little heart.
So it improves communication on all levels, assists with transitions, removing blockages from chakras, engendering persistence and giving strength. And opalite, as I understand it, originated from using opal dust. But since then, it has become a stone, and it is man-made. It is, but so early on, people asked me, well, what is opalite good for? And I said, it's joy. It's a stone of absolute joy because of its incredible beauty and all of the lights that play within it. And it will always, almost every child that comes in here, and all ages, people love opalite. And so it is one of those beautiful stones that it's still made up of things within nature. And so nature can come in all forms. And if it's that we just bring some uh, sand and glass together, creation, and I don't really even know how it's made, to be honest, but I know that it's is now, these are man-made. These are not from stones that grow in the earth, but they are from materials that are present on the earth.
Right. And it's totally okay to be like, hey, man is allowed to assist nature in creating beautiful things.
Yeah.
So just kind of a degree of different transparency there. So if you were to, work with opalite, you can also bring in the opalescent energy, which is really great for meditations, just bathing yourself in that rainbow opal essence. And I wanted to say thank you, Sandy, for taking that journey to find your own inner peace. And that's really really important, because as you allow yourself to embody that, you then create space for other people to also feel that and recognize that within themselves. So great job on finding that inner peace. Keep growing and building it, and allow it to ripple out through your energy field to those around you.
So some of the last stones we're going to talk about today are orange calcite and yellow calcite. This is a yellow calcite, and it is just a stone from, again, a stone of just, well, a sunshine, sort of captured in rocks. And one reason I chose to bring out what I call Hawkeye calcite is because it's got the darkness with the brightness, with the sunshine. And I think that it becomes so important for us to always be able to see our way through to the what? To the other side in terms of trying to show it. Yes. Yeah. It's sort of interesting, some of the formations inside of it, isn't it? And it's also banded, the banding. And so you'd think it had a little bit of an agate property with the banding in it. But it is a stone, again, of just happiness. And then we have orange calcite. You don't want to pop it in your mouth. It might hurt.
Yeah, it's another one that does kind of look a little bit like candy.
It does look a little bit like. So orange calcite's instilling greater energy for creative work, helping spiritualize sexuality, healing wounds related to sexuality, creativity, and will. And it helps just with all kinds of health and metabolic issues. So it is fun. And I think that it's going to be really, really, really important for each of us to give each other space to be who we are, to believe as we are, to love people as they are, rather than saying, well, and I can tell you, I I can do my fair share of judging uh, with, but on the other hand, it's just like what's going on with our political realm is uh, because over time we've allowed ourselves to be separated on issues of judgment and taking different perspectives of beliefs. But on the other hand, if you just for a few minutes stop and say, oh, well, if this happens, that's the way the other side's felt all this time. And so we no longer, so if we could just take a few minutes to step into the other person's being and to see, so without judging, but to understand who each of us is and what we have to do to help each other and to share. And one of the things we have to do is to always hold the light and keep the faith.
So just elaborating on that a little bit more, taking time to actively listen. If someone is coming to you or is asking for help in any way, taking time to listen to what their needs are, connecting with people that can help them, support them. And if they're coming to you and that's out of your comfort zone, let them know and direct them towards people that can help them. There's just a lot going on. So if somebody, I mean, it might just seem really little, but with everything happening right now, if somebody takes the time to reach out to you, listen, show up, be present with them, and help them. If they're asking for or what they're asking for, like find out what it is that what they're needing. And if again it's out of your comfort zone, please have them reach out to somebody who can help them. There are all kinds of crisis hotlines. There are so many people that are out here doing spiritual healing, spiritual work. A lot of us, I mean, one of my joys is that I get to sit with people in that energy of peace and hope and transformation and active listening and just holding space for them to be them without judgment. And I absolutely love that part. And the fact that that's what I get to do for my living gives me so much joy in my purpose. So there's so many others that are out there doing the same. So if you need help, please reach out to somebody to talk to. If you physically need help with something or emotional, whatever that might be, please use your voice, reach out, ask for help. It is available.
And we can all ask for help. It isn't essential that we do it all by self. Because, and the other thing is, and this is something that as I've gone through this whole business with different kinds of with the surgeries I've had over the years, is that people are willing to give if I'm willing to receive. Being willing to receive help from others is very, very important.
Yeah.
As well as being willing to listen.
You are worthy and deserving of love. And remember that love is the most powerful force in all of the
It
universe.
is.
Okay? It's bigger than fear. It's so much stronger than hate.
So much stronger than heart. Hey, there's this one thing that people, and I've said this before on these shows, but it's important, is on the cars where you see no fear, I mean, it's, it's something we have to really think about rather than allowing ourselves to go into fear, because fear generates so much darkness. And what we want to do right now is bring the light.
Right. So that can be measured. I don't know if you guys know this, but that can be measured. If energies can, like, of feelings and thoughts can actually be measured in
Yeah.
frequency. And so somebody carrying or embodying and expressing the energy of, say, like Christ consciousness or unconditional love vibrates at a certain level. And I really wish I could quote like exactly what the numbers were, but basically that vibration can counterbalance up to 750,000 other people operating at lower vibrational energies, which is like hate, fear,
Shame.
desperation, shame, guilt. Oh my gosh, sometimes it's just little stuff, but they all are vibrating at these lower or the lower frequencies or levels. So just caring, even in just moments, just allow yourself to feel moments of unconditional love flow through your beingness and radiate out, because it can be measured. It does have an impact, even if you don't see it.
Yeah.
Just smile. It can change the world.
Smiling can change. So one book along this line, there was a man named David Hawkins, quite a remarkable scholar who was a PhD and a medical doctor. He was a PhD in physics as well as a medical doctor. He went around the world. It took him, I don't know, 20 plus years. And he went around and he measured the frequency of words like that.
Yes.
And the consciousness. And the book is Power versus Force. And it is probably one of the classics of understanding energy and how significant what we hold in our hearts and in our minds impacts the rest of the world.
Right. And if you don't know what to do, if you're unsure, unclear, I ask that you just allow yourself to be love. And again, if you need help, there are plenty of people that will help guide you towards or help you create space for what love truly feels like. Unconditional love, not this human conditional crap we've accepted as love. I mean, true, unconditional, radical acceptance for your beingness here and now. We give thanks for that. So when you don't know what to do, you're not sure, unclear, be love.
Yeah. And it's so funny because Rose Quartz is saying, get a rose quartz. Hold me. Get a rose quartz. So anyway, with that, I think that we just want to say good night. And we're so grateful that all of you stayed with us. Sandy, we really appreciate all of your feedback during the course of the day. And we're just happy. And it's just time for us to all find our joy and to see the really great things we have going on in our life rather than just dwelling on the negative and finding our inner peace.
Yeah.
And we love you, and just come by, call us, talk to us, come sit with us. We're here.
We're here for you. Even if it's not in person, we can do distance work as well.
We can do distance work as well.
Absolutely.
So, okay. Thank you very much.
Bye, Sandy.
Bye-bye, Sandy. Bye, everybody else. So we have to find the end live video.